All right, so who is like so pumped that it's Christmas time? Raise your hands. Yes. I love, love, love Christmas time. You can see there's, oh yeah, we're so cute, right? This is, okay, I'm not in it because I take the pictures, but this is my husband and my two girls. Rachel is 5 and Grace with the mullet is 2. I would look the same way. I'll apologize later when she's older and wonders why I gave her a mullet. So I absolutely love Christmas time. We went and got our tree just like the day after Thanksgiving. I'm super into it. We're pulling out all the decorations, and I have like 3 manger scenes. Are you guys like that? I've got like one that's like our advent calendar, and then I've got like a half set that my mom sent from the thrift store. It's like little teddy bears, I don't know. And then I've got a third one that's like for the kids to play with, and I'm like putting together my mantle, and I turn around and Rachel has taken every piece of the manger scene and surrounded baby Jesus. And I was like, oh, Rachel, that is so sweet. Are they all coming to worship Jesus? She's like, no, Satan is coming and they have to protect him. I was like, all right, we're going to have to work on our Christmas story. But when I start thinking about the Christmas story, I start thinking about Mary now that I'm a mother. And Mary is the mother of Jesus. I'm sure you're familiar with the Christmas story. And she was approximately 15 when the angel Gabriel appeared to her and said, you know, you're going to become pregnant with the Son of God. And I think about that and I become kind of terrified. Like, this is supposed to be this miracle, this miraculous thing. Like, the angel prompts her, like, you just need to trust God. And so the angel also appears to Joseph, though. You know, he finds out she's pregnant. He's considering leaving her. And God's like, no, like, this is of God. You need to just trust me. And so I just think, like, what? Like, think about it. Like, if I had no idea, like Mary had no idea of what was to come. She had no idea what she was being called to. And then they are called to go to Bethlehem for the census. So nobody likes to travel when they're pregnant, right? Let alone in their 3rd trimester on the back of a donkey. Like, no one would volunteer to do that. And then she has her baby essentially in a barn stall, which is just taking home birth to a whole new level that I'm not comfortable with. And then I'm sure as this sweet little baby grows, she learns more and more about how special he is and what Christians believe is this perfect kid. A perfect kid. Like, it should seem like this idyllic situation, but for me, I feel like I'd be like, Jesus, you just need to get mad already because you're making me feel bad about myself. And yet Mary did it. And Mary actually went on to have more kids. Like, I don't know if you knew, Jesus had siblings. And I'm sure there are moments where this could have felt like this huge burden, like this monumental, super intense role for her. And I think there could have even been moments for her, I imagine, where she'd be like, you picked the wrong person. Like, I am not good enough for this job. And yet we don't know the details of Jesus' childhood, but we do know that she watched her sweet little baby grow up. And from day one, she cared for him, imperfectly, obviously, but fully and wholeheartedly, because she was with him even up until the moment he died. But sometimes for me, love doesn't feel like it's enough, right? I don't really feel like I had any great qualifications coming into motherhood or even like housewifeliness. I actually lived in a pit until I got married. I hate housework. I'm bad at playing pretend. And to be completely honest, there generally aren't a whole lot of children's activities that I like super enjoy. And often my own childhood kind of keeps me in constant fear that my girls aren't going to like me, or I'm going to yell at them one day and it's going to scar them for life, and that's what they're going to be talking about in counseling in 20 years. Motherhood feels like something that has been forced on me instead of the joy that I know so many women feel like it is. And I'm jealous. I am jealous that they feel confident in this role. And I can look at, Mary, the mother of Jesus, or really any other woman and feel small and insignificant. When I started planning this talk, I think I even started to put pressure on myself, to have all these answers and these great things for you guys to do. And then, like a wave of relief, I read this quote from Glennon Melton, and she said, "Lovely and easy and shiny people are really comfortable talking about their problems when they're over. We're not allowed to struggle until after we've done our victory lap. And that's fine, but it's less helpful than hearing from people in the trenches. How do I show up in the during? Maybe this all happened to me so I can go out and be seen in the during. Well, today you have found me in my during. My name is Megan Anderson, and I am an okay mom. I got pregnant with Rachel 9 months after Sam and I got married. Sam was pumped. He was one of 7 kids. Yeah, 7. And I was in shock, but in all honesty, I think I was excited, albeit the timing. Motherhood was something I had planned. I had nannied for years, and I thought, this will be a piece of cake. Rachel, my oldest, is beautiful and funny and smart and compassionate, but so many days of her life, it feels like she exhibits all of those wonderful qualities for everyone except me. And most of you understand, some of you might think I'm being dramatic, but that reality feels so real to me. To be fair, we've gone through a lot of change in her short little life. She got a little sister. We moved across the country from Chicago. We ended up having to live with my in-laws for 4 months. It was a lot of change for a then almost 3-year-old. But it was also an insane amount for me. I was in a new place with no friends, with family I hadn't really spent more than a few days at a time with, nursing a newborn baby and just feeling really alone. And for the last 2 years, many with Rachel have felt like a constant battle. And it left me feeling like there must be something I'm doing wrong. I must not be doing enough, or loving her enough, or disciplining her enough. And about once every 2 months, I have a little breakdown about this. This last time, which was just October, this isn't a long time ago, I said, someone else could be doing better. Our girls deserve better. And my husband kind of looked at me quizzically and was like, you can't quit, right? There's no one else for this job. And it seems silly, but there are some days that I do feel like quitting. And sometimes I think something that I thought should come so naturally has been weighing on me heavily, and so heavily some days that I felt like I couldn't think straight. I even remember calling my sister about 10 years ago. I was bored to tears playing trains with a variety of toddler boys I was dating at the time in the middle of a Chicago winter, which is just brutal, and being like, it's different with your own kids, right? It's better, right? And she assured me that it was, but man, I've discovered that many days I am so bored. And yes, some days it feels like a job, and some days I want to rip my hair out, and those are the days that I kind of resent naming motherhood a calling or a joy. When Rachel has yelled at me for the 10th time, you're not my mom anymore. When I get lost in endless laundry and the fighting and the dishes stacking up in the sink, in my most selfish and backwards of emotions, I just want to go back to the days when I was free to do what I wanted, when I pleased, at whatever moment. Man, the calling to be a mother, to love these little beings so immensely your heart hurts, to spend those first few months of their lives just being in a constant panic that they're still breathing, and then to watch in amazement as they learn and grow right in front of you is, in one hand, we know it's such an immense gift, but on the other hand, it also feels like such an immense burden. And this burden can feel so heavy. But what I'm learning is that the burden part of it is not one I have to wear around my neck like a weight. It is one I can daily hand over to someone else who knows better and who loves better and who can understand sacrifice in ways that I never really will. And that someone is Jesus. But before I continue, you have to know a few things about me. I grew up a pastor's kid. I was the daughter of a mom who was a closet alcoholic dealing with serious depression, who had absolutely no support at the time. And I have witnessed one too many people representing Christ's love so poorly. I have almost every reason and more to have walked away from my faith, but man, something about motherhood has reestablished it so poignantly, because I'm slowly learning that God's plan for me reaches far beyond any hurts or insecurity that I bring to the table. And instead of looking at Jesus as, this impossible standard of living or of rules or obedience, I can see him as my lifeboat. This journey has helped me to understand that just like God chose Mary to be the mother of Jesus, God chose me to be the mother of Rachel and Grace. And the last thing I want to do is make you feel like I'm preaching at you or shoving my faith down your throat, but I honestly can't talk about the last 2 years without talking about Jesus. And so I hope you'll be gracious with me, because I could not have done it without him. Because you see, in those moments of weakness, when the burden feels too heavy, or where I feel small and intimidated or just tired or discouraged or alone, there is a voice that can sometimes feel so loud. The number one lie that creeps up at just the right moments, and if I give it room, it just grows louder. And it's the fear in my heart that just screams, not enough. Not enough. You'll never be enough. And just, it's like a hammer. It just keeps going. Like you'll never be able to do enough. You will never be enough for them or really for anyone. And to be completely honest, that is where I have found myself so many times in the last 2 years. But I don't have to stay there listening to that voice, because God tells me, you are enough. You are enough. You are enough for your kids, for your husband, and most importantly, for me, just as you are. God says, I know you. I know you, and I still chose you. You see, motherhood for me has shown this bright light on the fact that I am a totally broken and imperfect being. But that falls away when I remember that I believe Jesus died for me, that he said it was finished on the cross when he died in my place. And I can live, I can mother out of his saving grace. I don't have to try to be anyone else. I don't have to Pinterest my way through the Advent calendar. I don't have to already have all my gifts list. Like me, Megan, who often has to wash the same load of laundry 3 times because it started to smell like mildew. Or the one who mops, and this is generous, every other month, so probably don't let your toddlers eat off my floor, who yelled at my 5-year-old this morning for something so small and inconsequential. God wants all of it. So if you're here this morning and you've heard about this Jesus and you're thinking I can't measure up, or I could never follow all of those rules I've heard, hear me, there's no good enough bar. The beauty of Jesus' life was that he said he came to heal the sick, not the healthy. So you'll find me over here a little vulnerability happy, because it's really only been in motherhood that my faith has come to be so profoundly life-changing. That I'm okay with needing help because I'm so aware of why I need a rescuer. My kids, Rachel and Grace, are my kids forever. God chose me for this purpose, the good and the bad days, and you know what? It's enough. The smelly laundry, the dirty floor, my blatant imperfection and mistakes. And don't get me wrong, we all want to be better moms, right? I am constantly leaning on prayer to make it through the moments when I just want to scream all right, mom's done, everybody out, I'm closed. But do I want to love my kids well? Do I want to be more patient with them, understand them better? Do I want to be more attentive to my spouse? Have more sex, go on more dates? Yes, of course, all of those things, yes. But our world is insanely full of all of these impossible standards, right? Things like social media fill our brains with the idea that everyone else has it more together, or their family has more money or a nicer house, they have a better job, or look, her family made her breakfast in bed on Mother's Day, look how much they care. It's always me, no Instagram on Mother's Day. But God sent his son Jesus as a baby into this world all those years ago because he wanted a relationship with you. He wanted you to know that he could sympathize with your weaknesses, that he could know you and yet also be known himself. And all of the world's standards fall away in light of his grace. God sees you. He sees you even in your weakest moments, and he loves you, and he wants to reveal to you great and unsearchable things you do not know about him, about yourself. And I'll tell you, nothing has transformed my mothering, my character, more than just being loved by him. He wants you to know this morning that you are enough, just as you are. Crumbs, dried shampoo hair, yoga pants, messy marriage, messy life, all of it. Now, if the biggest lie I struggle with is you're not enough, then the second is I'm all alone. Both of these can seem so real at times. Whether you've dealt with none of the things I've mentioned or all of it and maybe way more, motherhood can be incredibly isolating. Part of knowing the truth about yourself, that you're loved and enough and chosen and important and, just like Mr. Rogers says, right? So very special, just as you are, means having friends around you who will point you back to the truth about who you are. Shauna Nyquist shared in a video last year that true friends are there to speak truth into the lies we start to believe about ourselves. They remind us of how God feels about us instead of what the world or even our harshest critic, ourselves, say about us. So much of what I've learned and shared with you today has come from the wisdom of women I've chosen to surround myself with. Making new friends is so hard, and making friends with women whom you can share your heart and all of the broken bits with is even harder. But I'm going to charge you this morning to take some vulnerability risks. You can start small and test the waters, but it makes it incredibly hard to grow and to feel known and loved if you don't ever let anyone in. If you don't ever take the risk of letting someone in to know the yuck. I've shared things and then immediately realized, okay, now I know this person isn't ready for all of this. But you know what? The world kept turning. And if I got burned once and that made me choose to never open up again or to never share again, I would have missed out on countless relationships that have completely changed my life. And the best part is, with trust, with those relationships comes edification, which is kind of a big word for early in the morning, but it just means that you're sharpening one another. I know that I can ask these women for advice, for feedback, and they're going to be honest with the utmost love because they love me. These are the relationships to fight for. They're the ones that are going to remind you, you are enough and you are never alone. These are the women I'm going to walk in and be like, I love Rachel, but man, I don't like her today. And instead of looks of shock and horror and judgment, I see looks of empathy and understanding and even agreement. These are my people. These are my people, the women who see me and know me and hear me, but then point me back to the truth. A.J. Downey once wrote, "When you find people who not only tolerate your quirks, but celebrate them with glad cries of, 'Me too,' be sure to cherish them, because those weirdos are your tribe." Our peace in motherhood, really in life, is going to come when we trust God enough to know and to see that he created us to be the mother and to mother our kids out of our own gifts, talents, and temperaments that he has gifted us with. We don't have to compare. We just have to love our kids imperfectly and yet wholeheartedly. Take the risk of being known and being loved. Have the boldness to trust the one who loves you most, and then surround yourself with women who will point you back to the truth that you are loved and cared for and never alone. My prayer for all of us this morning is that we would be more confident in who we are as moms. Not anyone else, but just you. Let's help each other celebrate the gifts that each of us bring to the table. Let's learn from one another and celebrate one another and pour out kindness and compassion on each other in each of our choices as moms. And most importantly, remember today that you are enough. Thanks.